What's up, Dallas? It's your girl Rachel. We are back with another guest for season 7. I have singer and songwriter Ken Franz here. How are you, sir?
Too blessed to be depressed.
That's the best way to put it. Okay, that is the best comment ever for sure. So, for Ken, for our viewers out there, can you tell them a little bit about yourself and where your social media is where they can find you?
Sure. Uh, I'm originally from Milwaukee. This is my fourth time in Texas, and hopefully the roots are going to stick this time. But I live up near the Sherman Denison area, and been playing guitar and singing for, let's see now, 40 years, 40 some years. But my website is kenfranzmusic.com. And it's got my CD on there as well as my gigs coming up, which is a little thin at the moment, but you get a real good idea. It's got my bio on there and things like that.
My question for you, Ken, because you reached out to me, you said that you have testimony in all the songs that you write. For our viewers, Ken, please tell us your testimony and what God is doing in your life.
Sure. Well, back on May 5th of '05, on '05, I had double bypass at age 42, and that'll kind of wake you up a little bit. So, I spent the next couple of days in the hospital room trying to figure out, what the good Lord has in store for me. Why is He giving me a second chance at life? Because a lot of people don't recover from stuff like that, and I couldn't come up with a reason. And for a few days, I was just kind of racking the brain, and finally, I decided just to put it out of my mind. And then Jeremiah 29:11 just popped into my head. For I know the plans I have for you, plans for good, not for evil, plans to give you hope in the future. So that's pretty much been my mantra. It's like, okay, whatever's going to happen is in His hands. So that's been my mantra for years. And back about, let's see, 2016, 2021, about 2020, I started a music ministry, and I'd be playing at my church, one of my songs, once a month. And then on May 16th of 2021, I finished playing a song, set the
Mm.
guitar down, walked down the aisle, sat next to my wife, and 5 minutes into the sermon, my ears fogged up. I mean, they fogged up, and anything I could hear, it sounded like parents on Charlie Brown, wah, wah, wah. And I'm like, what is going on, And then
Mm.
I hear 5 words as clear as I'm talking to you. It says, your job is to testify. And then my ears opened up. So 16 years and 11 days after I had my bypass, he told me the reason. And my shirt
Mm.
was soaked. I mean, I'm just bawling and sitting there and just tears are just streaming. So went home and started working on a song. And about 2 weeks later, the title track of the album Testify came out. That's the one I sent you. And it's like, okay, so there's definitely something going on here, you know. Um, and like I told you earlier, I hadn't played for quite a while, and this is prior to that, and decided to pick it up again. So I grabbed the guitar and started, trying to sing, and I lost my singing voice.
Mm.
And I don't, it's like, what am I going to do? This is something I enjoy doing, and now I can't. So I sat down and I prayed, I said, Lord, I know you don't make deals with people, otherwise everybody would be healthy and rich and all of that. But if you would give me my singing voice back, I will write songs that glorify you, that people can use to worship you and praise you, and I myself can. And 2 weeks later, my voice was back, my singing voice, and not to where it used to be, but where it needs to be right now. And he's he's got so many things ahead of me that I don't even have a clue. So I'm just kind of, I try to talk to him, and basically set my music going. And last one was like, well, what do you want me to do? What's where do you want me to go? And he was just like, stay the course, stay the course, stay the course. I'm like, okay, whatever's going to happen is going to happen. Let's get through this together.
I do believe that when God gives the gift, we're supposed to use it to glorify Him and
Absolutely.
in all things. And since you're a music artist, I want to talk to you about like that transition from
Hmm.
secular music to following what God has called you to do in your life. Like
Sure.
as an artist, why is it so important to stay away from secular career?
Um, Honestly, I'm still in transition because I mean I'll still do secular gigs, but I use that money to fund my ministry. So,
Mhm.
but yeah, I mean, and I just got a funny feeling that if I put it completely behind me and go straight, straight Christian, um, it's going to get tough. Absolutely. I mean, it's tough now trying to find churches to play at and Christian venues and things like that. But the good Lord's given me talent. I mean, I got the itch at 16 when I saw a
Mhm.
band play and picked up my first guitar a couple days later. Um, but at one point in my life, and I don't remember when, I was still doing secular stuff. I just said, I want to write a song that the whole world can use to worship God. And
Mhm.
it's just, stuck. It's been stuck in the back of my head for years. Um, and then once all of this started happening, I'm like, okay, so now he's telling me exactly what he wants me to do. And
Mhm.
they always say God speaks in a whisper. I like to say he speaks in a whisper, a shout, or a slap upside the head. When you're just not getting it, it's like, hey, dummy. Um, and that's happened to me a couple times too. Um,
Mhm.
but it's opened up a whole new world. I mean, it's neat to see people out there that I didn't realize were Christians that maybe are, I don't want to say lukewarm, but not as, I don't want to say, hey, look at me, I'm a Christian, but you can usually tell by the way people talk or the way they act or sometimes what they say. And I'm finding more and more out there, and especially with what's going on in the world, there's more and more coming out there. And I mean, he's given us everything. I mean,
Mhm.
why, why should we look away from that? Why should we step away from that and
Yeah.
leave? It's just wake up with an attitude of gratitude and be thankful. That's huge, and that's a lot. A lot of lines in my songs are about being thankful, being grateful. Matter of fact, one song on the CD is called "Just Be Grateful," and that's a song basically about we've all got friends and family that have more than what we do. I've got friends that they'll go on vacation every year to Florida and they come up with a new car or a new boat or stuff like that. And meanwhile, I've been struggling to make to pay the bills.
Mhm.
And then I heard this voice like, just be grateful. And my favorite line out of that song is the last line of the chorus. It said, doesn't matter if it's a crumb or a plateful, just be grateful.
Mhm. That is true. I think of that's something a lot of people take for granted is being grateful that you have what you have. So I have this sign, and it says what I'm gonna put out here, but I have this sign. It says, I still remember the days I prayed for what I have now. I literally have this in my office. So every time I come in, it makes me be grateful that I'm not where I used to be. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm where God has me. And it's learning that your journey, your testimony is meant to help somebody like your journey, your songwriting.
Yep.
Somebody is watching you and how you handle your music and all the stuff that you're going through. So, for your songwriting and stuff, how has that journey been for you, putting all your honesty into that?
It's it's me. People, accept me for me. I'm sure I've lost a few friends, because of the uh the more Christian attitude I'm taking, letting a lot of
Mhm.
stuff go that I used to be into. I mean, it wasn't anything crazy or anything, but just it's like movies that I used to enjoy. It's like why am I watching these things, or music that I've listened to. It's like, yeah, this band's got to go. I'll still listen to some secular stuff. I'm not going to lie about that, but it's I think people are learning a little bit more about me. Because what I
Mhm.
like to do, like in my, if you want to call it a show or service or whatever, um, is I do like to do a little bit of testimony, or ideas where songs came from. It helps give people a more background to where I'm from. And it kind of goes back to the song, Why Me, Lord? It's like maybe I can show others what you've done for me. And that's the way I approach my music. Um, I had on the social media drama that is Facebook about 10 years ago, I saw something that stuck with me and I put it into a song. I didn't put it into a song for about 7 years after, but this is what if you wake up tomorrow with only the things you thank God for today? And that hit
Mhm.
me right between the eyes. And I mean, I thank God, for stuff, my prayers and all of that. But then it's like, whoa, there's a little more detail there, and
Yeah.
it's and actually it's a song called "Little Things," and it's just the little things that we go through every day. Mine are going to be different than yours. That's going to be different from your friends, my friends, but you know the chorus runs in, I want to thank you, Jesus, for the little things that make my heart smile, what joy it brings. Um, and whether it's, the stars in the sky, the colors in the sunrise and sunset, family time, seeing people. I get weepy, excuse me. Seeing people out at restaurants bow their heads before their meal, unabashed. They're doing what they need to do, what they should do. It's, sorry. Ever since
It's okay.
ever since the bypass, it's been that way. Um, but mostly when I talk about God. So I think there's a connection going on here. But just little things like that. That happen every day. When's the last time mowing the lawn? This is Texas. It's not exactly chilly outside, and I've got a push mower, and I'm mowing the lawn. And it's about 85, and with the heat index is probably up over 100. And all of a sudden, a cool breeze comes in. And I just stop. It's like, thank you, because
I needed that.
exactly. So
Mhm.
just little things like that. I think because of the bypass, I've really become more grateful, and
Mhm.
it's opened my eyes to all the things in this world. And when people and I talk to friends and stuff, if they're having an issue or whatever, I'll listen to them. I'll open both ears and give them a shoulder or whatever, and I'll ask them if I can pray for them. You know,
Mhm.
um, it's because we know deep down who's got us, right
Mhm.
here. Yeah, but when we're in the middle of something, it's hard to think about that.
Mhm.
Um, at one point, here's another quick story. Um, yeah, I know you're in Dallas. Like I said, I live up near Sherman Denison, and I'd lost the job, and I was having some issues with my memory, and it's still ongoing. But that's another story for another time. Um, but I'm looking for jobs, and no one's hiring me. No one's hiring me. I get a job down in Addison, so I'm
Mhm.
doing a 100-mile round trip every day
Mhm.
and making $13 an hour. So I'm spending, $400, $500 a month on tolls and gas. But I'm there for a reason. I asked God a couple of times, um, is it, can I start looking elsewhere? And he's like, no, not yet. No, not yet. And then finally said, okay, you can start looking. Well, I get a call from the job placement place that, hey, we got something for you. We think you might be interested. It's $20 an hour. It's got real good insurance, and they're only about 6 miles from your house. Like, sign me up. So I go in for the interview, and I think it went really well. So a couple of days later, I get a call back from the placement saying, hey, they want you. I'm like, great. She goes, now, the unusual thing about this is it's like 7 days on, 7 days off, 6 days on, 6 days off, but I'd be working every Sunday. And my
Mhm.
church only has two services in the morning. And
Mhm.
with this new music ministry started, it's like, what am I going to do? And it was really, I mean, because here I'm making, $13, 13.50 an hour, driving 100 miles round trip every day to what I could be doing, you know, 12 miles, 14 miles around trip, a lot more money. So I was really confused. And I, uh,
Mhm.
I said, okay, well, I'll tell you what, let me go home, talk to my wife, and I'll call you back tomorrow. And they're like, okay. So all the way home, I'm crying. I'm talking to God. I'm like, what do I do? What do you want me to do? Call a friend of mine. And he's like, man, I don't know what I would do if I was in your position. But, me and my wife would be praying for you. I said, well, appreciate that. So I'm still driving. I mean, that's the one good thing about having a 50-mile drive one way is you got time. So I'm praying, and I'm crying a little bit. I'm confused. And I get home and I'm talking to my wife, and um, she can see how exasperated I am and how frustrated. And she's like, well, I don't want you to accept the job and then come in and find 2 weeks later that you can't handle it physically, which at that
Mhm.
point was probably pretty close because I had hip replacement a couple of years ago, and I'd be standing a lot all day and everything. So, it's, uh, I said, that's a good point. And I started thinking about it more. And you know how when you get confused or when you got a lot of thoughts, zipping through your mind, it gets real loud up here. It
Yeah.
was so loud, I couldn't hear anything. And then above that, I heard three words: I will provide.
Mm.
And I looked up and I said, okay, I trust you. Called him the next day, declined the job, but danged if he hasn't provided for me since. Um, I was on unemployment for a few months, but I went to my pulmonologist and I've got a little bit of COPD. My inhaler at the time was $400 a month,
Mm.
and he provided a way for me to get it at no charge. We had friends, dropping off food,
Yeah.
checks coming out of nowhere.
Mhm.
So he's providing for me. He still is. He never will stop.
Exactly.
And how can you turn your back on something like that? How can you
Mhm.
ignore that?
You can't.
And my friends have seen that and seen what's happened. I've talked to them and stuff, and a lot of friends have gotten closer, gotten relationships have gotten stronger. Some have disappeared. Well, sorry, I'm not gonna apologize for the way I feel, the way I am, what I'm doing. Um, I'm proud to be a Christian, and I'm proud to serve my Lord and Savior. And that's that's the approach I'm trying to take.
Mm. I love that for you though. That's a true powerful testimony of understanding that God always provides. Even when you don't know where it's coming from, you're still going to trust that God provides that for you. Be really grateful about what people have done, what God does in your life, that God will allow people in your life and he will take people out of your life. And I was just talking about God turning your pain into purpose. Like sometimes he has to refine you by removing people. He has to change your direction. He has to change what you're doing in life to get your attention, to get you to focus on him. And that's one thing that my husband and I had learned on our journey. At one point, my husband and I have been down to literally 16 cents in one account and 32 cents in the other account. And neither one of us knew where the money was going to come from for that. And I just started a new job and he was the only provider at that time. So I went almost 3 months without working and, we just didn't know where the money was going to come from. And lo and behold, like the same day that the bills were due, I got my first check. I actually got it early, which was really a blessing to see that type of a power happen. Like he got a check and then I got a check, but a day earlier than what I was expecting it to be. And I was
Sure.
like, oh my God, thank God for that. I didn't know.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And, friends that maybe are ill in the hospital or
Mhm.
whatever, you get the prayer warriors out there, and you get, good news. It's like, thank you. It's the first thing you got to think. Um, yeah, it's truly amazing how you, when when you think about it, one of my favorite things to do is connect the dots. I mean, I've lived
Mm,
in 4 states and I've met people in all 4 states that I'm still friends with that have helped direct me without me even knowing it. You know, um, I've had clients in Tennessee that can direct me musically, but I don't want to take advantage of that either. So
mm,
I really, um, I'm careful not to push the issue. But if I get really confused on something or really need help, I know I can reach out. Um,
mm,
but a prime example is I was living just outside of Knoxville, working for the AA baseball team out there, and one of my first clients was a gospel station, Southern Gospel Station out in Knoxville, that's very popular. And I became really good friends with the sales manager. And I mean, we'd go to lunch sometimes and just shoot the bull. But that's kind of how I became more into gospel.
mm,
Um, and then I had to quit my job there. We came back to Texas. And once I started this music thing, I was like, okay, so do I just work on my songwriting and try to get songs out to, acts that could record it, or do I sing and record it myself? And then it's like, okay, so I know some people. Do I put like a, I don't want to call it a mind meld, but a group of people that I can reach out to, like
mm,
I forgot what kind of the words escaping me now, but I think, okay, so one of the first people I called was my old contact in Knoxville, and she picked up the phone. I haven't talked to her in like 6 years at the time, and it was like
mm.
I talked to her the day before, so it was like, whoa, okay. So I mean, that stuff like that. It's just connecting the dots. Had I not gone to Knoxville, I never would have met Jamie, and yada yada yada, that kind of a thing. Um, when I was driving to work one day down in McKinney, um, I was debating on whether I put the group together or whether I go solo, and it had been bugging me for a few days. So I'm listening to one of Alan Jackson's gospel albums, and the song that was playing was "Wherever He Leads, I'll Go."
Mhm.
And I'm like, I like the song and everything. And next thing I know, here's the one slap upside the head. A van pulls up next to me for a cable company. Big words on. I had to take a picture of it, so I still got it. Big words on the side of the van. Don't go it alone. I
Mhm.
literally, after I set the phone down, I looked up. I mean, I'm heading down the interstate 60 miles an hour, 65, and I literally just look up and go, "You have my attention." There's no
Oh,
way that wouldn't have happened. So that's it's just there's little things that have been happening like that, and doors that have opened that never would have been opened before. So I know
mhm.
he's got plans. There's no doubt in my mind, and it's just now it's being patient.
Um, let's talk about the power in the words that you write. I think a lot of people take for granted about the lyrics in a song. So whenever you are a songwriter, you're writing your heart down, you are praising God. It's like form of prayer, but in a psalm.
Oh yeah,
Like the Song of David, the Psalms. It's like you are actually, giving your gift back to God when you write a gospel song. Um, and a lot of people may think that songwriting is just for you to get paid and stuff. But when you realize that you're putting your prayer into song so other people can relate to it, they can vibe with the song, they understand that this is a song for God, it's your form of praise, it's your form of worship. It's the good news in a song. Like
absolutely.
oh my gosh. I'm very, very adamant about listening to songs as my form of worship because I know that God speaks through me. Like maybe for instance I'm listening to KCBI, right?
Mhm.
So 90.9 I'm listening to him. Shout out to KCBI if y'all watching this. Um but they play songs and they speak the testimonies, they speak power, they speak understanding, they speak the fact that we're not perfect, but God is. we're not perfect, but we need Jesus. Like God can use any broken vessel. Anybody who has this voice can be heard, but you got to speak it.
Yep.
So, like this power of testimony through your songs, like, wow, like it's amazing. I did hear your songs, by the way,
Good.
and I was like, I love this album. So, where can people get this album at?
Well, right now, for the next couple of weeks, it's only going to be available on my website, and that's
Mhm.
kenfranzmusic.com. It's full production. Um, it's $20, and that's I'm as long as it's in the U.S., I'm including freight, so it's
Mhm.
$20 out the door. In about 2 weeks, I'm hoping it should be available online to download.
Mhm.
It'd be like on iTunes and Spotify and places like that. Um, but for right now, go to my website. I would really appreciate it. And get on my mailing list. I don't spam anybody. I don't, send out 7, 8, 9, emails a day. You're lucky to get one every other month, unless something big's going on. Um, but yeah, I mean, I'd love to have them. I'm not going to lie. I mean, money to me isn't that important because of what I'm doing,
Mhm.
because I'm, praising God, and I'm trying to I'm asking him to let the songs hit the targets they need to. And
Mhm.
if I make money on it, great. If not, it wasn't meant to be. But I'm not going to lie. I mean, I put a few $1,000s into the CD so I could like at least recoup my investment. But
Mhm.
it's I mean, I'll do shows for goodwill offering. I've done some where I've walked out with $10. There's some that I've walked out with 150. It's just reaching these people, and if they feel led by the spirit to put something in the tip jar or in the basket, that's great. you know if not, it's probably a lesson learned. Okay, what songs did I play, what received a decent response, what didn't, that type of thing. So it's kind of constantly evaluating what I'm doing. But
Mhm.
yeah, it's that. And if they if they go and sign up on an email list, once it's available on all the other places, they'll know. I'll let them know. But for right now,
Okay.
my website's the main one.
I want to thank you, Ken, for your journey, for your testimony, for being on my show today. I
Oh,
greatly
thank you.
appreciate it. There's power in your testimony, and your songs speak it so clearly, for sure.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Very
Yes,
enjoyable.
absolutely. For all of you viewers, that this is actually going to conclude our episode for